Hello and welcome to our first podcast, Wisdom and Emotion. My name is Michael Job. I am the director of Wisdom and Emotion.
Hi, and I'm Heather Job. I'm the program manager for Wisdom in Motion.
And the purpose of this podcast is that we're going to begin to, how would you want to say, talk about the challenges in which that face our youth of today and how that we can tackle those challenges. And so that's the purpose of this podcast, and we would like to hear from you guys also. So please chime in and how would you want to say
Just give us your thoughts and feedback. And if there's topics that you are seeing or experiencing in the community, we'd love to hear that also.
yes, we do. Now, outside of that, we got four things in which that as wisdom of motion we are honed in on. One is leadership, and one thing that we do as at Wisdom of Motion, we inject or we begin to teach our youth leadership skills and how to be a leader. Number two would be integrity. We teach the youth integrity and how to use that integrity commitment. You have to be committed to the process. So one thing is to be committed to the process. And last but not least is community. I like community because in community there's unity, and it's bringing all the facets together, bringing people together, and how important unity or community is to our growth as individuals. And so, in saying that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it over to Heather, and she has some things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the introduction, Mike. So today I get the honor of kind of doing just a little bit of an interview so you guys can learn a little bit about Wisdom in Motion, some of the things that we do here, and how we got started. But before we get into Wisdom in Motion, one of the things that you talked about community, and one of the things that we just finished participating in and hosting was our annual Juneteenth event.
Yeah.
And I know you've been a sponsor for Juneteenth event, but this is the first year that you helped co-host the event. And so, first of all, for viewers that are unaware or listeners that are unaware, can you just tell them briefly, quickly, what Juneteenth is, what that celebration is about?
Well, Juneteenth was a celebration for the ending of slavery when they first heard down in Texas that they were free, and it was one of those deals. If all of us ain't free, then none of us are free. And
Absolutely.
so in saying that, when they got word that they were free, and that there was a celebration, it's not nothing in which that overshadows emancipation, because emancipation is something in which that here we have done for over 100 years. And so, but Juneteenth is a celebration in which that it's not about black folks or minorities. It's about the community. It's about bringing community together. It's about health. It's about it's about a whole lot of different things. And so, for Juneteenth, I believe that those are the things in which that I believe that we did with the health fair,
Yeah.
bringing on Hutchinson Regional Hospital, and also places like a United Way. What else? Who else was there?
We also had like one of our local gals that does like lashes and locks and braids. She was out there. We had the Dolly Parton. I guess you mentioned United Way,
Anyway,
but they bring the Dolly Parton Library out every year. The kids come out and do a talent show. It's a great time. So thank you for that. And so, what role did Wisdom in Motion play as a sponsor? Like, what did you guys do
as
as
a
a?
sponsor, we provided water for everybody. You always got to stay hydrated, and we were out there, at Chester I. Lewis and Plaza, and to be hydrated is an important thing. And so And so one thing that we did was we provided water. We
And,
was
and if you've ever been to one of the Juneteenth events, you know that that's important. So did the kids participate? Any of the kids that are in the Wisdom and
yeah,
Motion program?
there was some in which that was out there, which also we were out there to to tell other folk about a lot of the programs in which that we have, because at Wisdom of Motion it's not only it's a mentor program, but yet inside this mentorship program there's other things in which that's inside this program. So it was one thing in which that when you looked at it, yeah, there was kids in which that
Fantastic.
participated in.
And so then just kind of moving forward, you guys just got done with Juneteenth, and then you have another event coming up that is an annual event that you have agreed to co-host as well, the Bridge Builders Barbecue,
Yeah, the
correct?
Bridge Builder Barbecue that was started back about 6 years ago with
Yeah.
the death of George Floyd, in which that brought the community together with our local PD to enjoy one another within a relaxed atmosphere.
And I hear there's food
And
there too.
yeah, that's food. Yeah, for sure. There's that saying, that anytime there's food, people will come. And when there's food, I'll be the first one there. So, right along with some other folks.
And so
So
when is that event?
that event is coming in the last Friday, I believe, in July. The last Friday in July is the Bridge Builders Barbecue. But I believe we had the couple, and go back to June. We had a great time at Juneteenth. I just can't stress that enough. How fun and the amount of talent, as far as youth, in which that's in our community. We
They
had
do a
real
good
fun,
job. This
and
is
every year we have fun at the Bridge Builders Barbecue too.
yes.
With especially Captain Gates and his love for water.
He's creative and he makes sure that there's going to be a fun element in whatever they do, and that's just really appreciated, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. So it's nice to have your first reaction or your interaction is not a negative reaction, but it's a positive one where the community come together and y'all can break bread and have fun. The youth have fun with the officers, and that's a wonderful thing. And over the years you've seen those relationships build to a point where when they see each other on the street, they begin to talk to one another.
Yeah.
Because they were on each other's teams. For the past 2 years, I believe the GOATs have won
Yes,
for the
there is.
past 2 years. So they get an award or a plaque, and they get their name put on there, the team in which that wins. And the GOATs won the past 2 years. So they have some bragging rights. So, the teams in which that is put together this coming up time, they're going to have to bring their A game
Yes, they
because the
will.
GOATs are coming.
Yes,
The
they will.
GOATs are coming.
All right. So thank you for that. Kind of shifting gears back to Wisdom and Motion and what they do at the core. Can you kind of take us back to the beginning of when you began Wisdom and Motion? Like what inspired you to start this in the first place?
Wisdom in Motion was started basically, on some of the things in which that I've been through as a youth and things in which that helped me out. So that's how Wisdom in Motion started. It was an ideal. It was some of the things that helped me growing up to overcome some of the obstacles in which that was in my community.
Right, because
And
you grew up in Kansas City, right?
right, I grew up in Kansas City, and as you know, Kansas City is a little bit on the rough side, but in the same sense, it's not only that I grew up in Kansas City, but some of the obstacles that my family had to overcome too, and so those obstacles is also what shaped Wisdom in Motion. It's the ideal that your past doesn't have to define you, and in a negative way, and that's one of those deals that even though as a youth, you find yourself in certain predicaments that you can bounce back from that
Right.
and become a productive part of the community.
So, what made you? Because you've been here in Hutchinson since the late '90s. What made you, or what was it that you said this is something we need here in Hutchinson? Because I know you had programs similar in Kansas City that you experienced, or you witnessed, or you were a part of. What made you say this is something we need in Hutchinson?
Well, what made me feel that is something in which that is needed in Hutchinson is that I know we have certain programs in which that is in Hutchinson that ministers to youth.
Right.
And but there's not a program within this community like this in which that teaches the youth, not only self-worth, but yet how to use classroom work, and transform that into real world. How we can bridge that gap and teach them how to use all those skills and resources in which that they learn in school and use that in your everyday life. Something as simple as changing a tire, or something as the ideal of just fishing.
Yeah.
We have the outdoor initiative program in which that teaches the youth how to fish and identify plants. And if one young lady, she first time she ever threw out a pole, and
Yeah.
so she spent her
Actually,
whole
a few
time.
of them.
Yeah, she spent her whole time throwing out the pole, reeling it in, throwing it out, reeling it in. Trying to get the feel of it and
To learn how to cast.
and
She
to,
was,
to
yeah.
cast it out further. I want to get it out there. So
And
that's
I think, and not to interrupt you, I apologize, but
no, you're
I
fine.
wanted to point something out is that the Hutch does have a lot of great programs for youth, but a lot of the ones that teach these skills, I think that a lot of the kids that they draw are the kids that are already overachieving. They've got a good support group. They've got a good foundation and a good base. They're making the good grades. They're on a good track, and that's
Right.
fantastic. And I think what you had described previously was that you saw a lack of these opportunities for some of the kids that maybe felt like they didn't fit,
Yeah,
or
but
maybe they were struggling with grades or self
right.
esteem, or and those kids don't always fit or feel comfortable or are even eligible for some of those
Right. It was a
programs.
lot of the kids that were like at risk youth. At risk youth. So,
Mm-hmm.
the kids in which that, struggle in school, the kids in which that, got in some trouble, how it is in which that you can help those kids and help them to succeed, or those kiddos, and help them to succeed in society, to overcome obstacles and barriers. Because one thing that we found out, is that a lot of those kids, at one point in time they were bullied in school, and now all of a sudden they don't care, so we see that there's dynamics with inside of there in which that contributed to their the things in which
To
that they
some of the
do.
struggles that they're seeing. Yeah, absolutely. And so I love that. I love that this is for them, and it's for the kids
Yeah, it's for
that qualify for like
right.
the youth city council
Yeah.
and like some of the ones that are leaders in
What
Rise Up Reno. Those are fantastic programs.
But yeah, it's also for those in which they struggle with mental health.
Yeah.
You know, in when I was growing up, mental health wasn't a focal point or something in which that it was seen. And so now you see a lot of individuals in which that are a lot of our youth in which that are suffer from mental health. So how do we address that? What can we do to extend that helping hand, to help them overcome the mental health obstacle in which that they have within their life.
Right. And so I was curious. So I know when Wisdom in Motion started, it was a certain kind of focus that you had and a certain vision that you had. How has that vision changed or grown, or how has Wisdom in Motion grown or changed since you first created it? Because it's been like 3 years now.
Yeah, Wisdom Motion has grown to a point in which where, it started out being just about mentorship. It was like how it is in which that we can mentor the youth and bridge that gap between schoolwork and real world, and that's what it was about, and that was the basics of that. But yet, at the end of the day, I looked at the program, and I seen that there was a lot more in which that the youth needed. And so it wasn't just the mentor aspect in which where, you say, hey, we'll meet together and then we'll see about, talk to one another and go out and play games or whatnot.
Right.
But yet at the end of the day, there's other things and other aspects in which that, as far as youth go, can be addressed. And it's not only just in my past, it's in the dealing with the youth of today, because it wasn't just in Wisdom and Motion that we deal with youth. We deal with youth all the time. And it has that connection with them all the time. So you see issues and problems in which that arises, in which that you see that wait a minute, this is not just a mentorship that's going to
Right.
handle this situation,
Right.
or going to
Absolutely.
play bowl, or going to bowl, or skating. That's good, and there's a place for that.
So you mentioned not just meeting with the kids and taking them bowling or taking them, to watch a movie or whatever. So how do you make that piece? And I know there's different pieces, and we'll get into that later. But the mentorship program itself, how do you make that piece when a kid comes in and says, "I want to sign up, I want to mentor"? What makes that stand out, and what makes it different from just going bowling?
Well, because you have a relationship. You building a relationship, if you would, with that particular youth. So it's not only that we visiting them and we talking to them. You building a relationship. You saying that I'm invested, in your life. I'm invested in the outcome, and you overcoming. So I'm not just want to take you bowling or take you out to eat and then go take drop you off. I want to invest. I want you to grow. I want to see what your potential is.
And
And
what tools do you have to do that? I understand
yeah, there's
there's
a couple of things like
curriculum that
right.
you came up with.
Yeah, there's a curriculum in which that we have within the program, in which that we meet and then we go over this curriculum within this book. We have a his book and a her book, and so we go over this curriculum. And in that curriculum, it builds self worth. Also, we have things. If you struggling within school, it's okay, okay, because we all struggle, and we have things. At one point, we all struggled in
With
school.
something,
It
yes.
was something, and so we have things like tutoring. We have if school is just not for you, we have GED program where we prep and pay for the GED at no cost to the youth.
Okay, so if I was a youth coming into the program and that was maybe a route I wanted to take, what do I need to do to be able to take my GED here? The require can you explain for them like what the steps would be or what the requirements are?
Well, part of it is we gonna have to prep you. That's part of it. We're gonna have to prep you, to be able, to take that GED and to be a part of the program in some form or fashion. And so maybe it is that the mentor aspect is not for you. Maybe it is that you love cooking And so we have like the international cooking time. And that's a popular program,
That's a lot of fun.
and that's a lot of fun. I mean, this past time we made like a ratatouille, which is a French dish.
Yes.
The ratatouille, is
I think
it,
we
it
had more
was
fun
making
making
it
it.
than eating it because it left a lot to be desired, if you would.
It smelled amazing.
Yeah, it smelled good, but the taste, but we had bread, French bread that was with it. I forgot what was the name of the bread.
It was no, it was
And
you were right.
French
It was
bread,
literally French bread.
and then we had
Sweet tarts.
sweet tarts, and the sweet tarts was a healthy dessert.
Oh, and
So
they were good.
yeah, and so that's one of the things in which that we offer also. So just one of those programs, be a part of one of those programs, and or the outdoor initiative program. Be a part of one of those programs, and we'll help you with your GED, prep you, pay for your GED at no cost. And let's say if by any means you say, hey, look, I want to go further with this thing, and I just don't have the resources to do it. And let's say so you want a trade, and so we offer trade to pay for the youth's trade at no cost to them. And so whether it may be, say you want to be a CNA, CMA, let's say you want to the HVAC.
If you're interested in real estate.
Yeah, real estate. I just got through doing my real estate, so which that's going to be another avenue and a wonderful adventure
Yep.
in itself. But real estate, maybe you want to be an electrician, whatever it may be. When it comes to vocation, we willing to invest in you as the youth, and that's what it's all about. We want to invest in you as youth.
Okay. So why is working with youth so important to you? What is it about working with our young population that you feel has a lot of value?
Well, working with the young population is they're our future, and they're the future of Hutchinson, Kansas. And in a lot of instances, you see the youth move away from Hutchinson.
Yeah.
A lot of our talented youth, and we want to retain our youth. We want to invest in our youth. We want to show not only invest but show our appreciation in youth. And I believe that if we invest, in their life, I believe that in return, I believe that they will stay. So it's just investing in the youth, and a lot of the youth, they just need a push. They need the community to show that they care, that they love them, that they have value too, and they have a voice. One thing in which that I'm real big on is that you have a voice.
Yeah.
And not only do you have a voice, but also we hear you. And it's not just good enough to have a voice, but youth want to know that their voice is heard.
Right.
And so don't just bend the ear, but listen, and care about what their concerns are, if you would,
Right.
or what they struggle with.
Thank you. I love that. And going back to the programs that you mentioned, you've mentioned several different kind of pieces to Wisdom in Motion. Why the different pieces? How do they fit together? So there's different programs that you've talked about. How do they all fit?
Well, as being I'm a pastor, so and some of the words in which that I use, may be a little, preachery, but it's to minister to the whole youth, not just a portion, and what when I say that is to hit every area. Maybe it is that they just didn't need just the mentoring aspect of it.
Right.
But fishing brings different aspects. It teaches patience. It teaches it teaches a whole range of things. Maybe as cooking brings a different aspect of it. Innovation, you know,
Teamwork. There's a lot of
teamwork.
teamwork
Yeah,
there.
right. Teamwork. So all these different aspects of the is why I said about the curriculum. It teaches self worth. So all these different aspects of the program, it it brings something to the youth, and it helps mold them and shape them into a productive part of the community.
Right.
It builds leadership, integrity. It leads to commitment, and also when it's all said and done, that they are part of a unity or a community.
And that's funny that you mentioned that about the leadership and commitment. One of the programs I think that you haven't described is the urban farm, and I'll give you an opportunity to describe that in just a minute. But you brought it to my mind because it is some of our youth that actually run that program. They started with it a few years back, and they've continued in it, and they have grown into a leadership position where they run the program and they're the ones teaching the younger kids. But if you want to take a minute to describe that program, I don't think we've shared that one.
Well, when it comes to the reason why I didn't, because we was talking about the older
Yeah, for sure.
the older kids or the older kiddos. We're that's who we were talking about. Now, when we talking about the urban garden, the daydreamers, we talking about youth. We talking about the younger portion of our community.
Kind of our
And so
our school age kids.
our school age kids, our young kiddos. It's just this is the point. Okay, what happens if we catch them younger, before they get to a point in
Right.
which where they are are they activated or active in how would you want to say
Just I'd say risky behavior.
risky behaviors. What happens if we catch them before? And so we have them where there's age 5 all the way up to, I believe, was it 9? I want to say
As 9 or 10. Yeah.
and what happens if we catch them then? And that's where the daydreamers come in. It's the urban farming, with coupled with the NAACP youth, and how it is in which that also builds unity too. It builds
That definitely builds work ethic.
work ethic, leadership. And one of the great things about that program is that some of those in which that are being mentored leads that program.
Yeah.
And so it's the aspect where you move from being mentored into a leadership aspect. How can I pass this thing down to the younger generation?
And they're so proud to do it. Like you can see how much pride they take in
Right.
it, and the fact that they have the opportunity to do something that was once done for them.
Right.
You can see that pride comes through.
And so it is basically taking and teaching them how to farm, how to plant your own food, how to take care of chickens, ducks, quail,
Rabbits.
rabbits, how to take care of them and how to treat them. So you have a sense of responsibility. So the youth come in and they are taught about all these farm animals. They are taught about how to plant. They do a lesson. So there's a curriculum in there. They have snacks. They do a craft, and it's something in which that is wonderful in that you also building into them a self-worth. You building into them a leadership. You building into them integrity. You building into them even a sense of community, because they go and they sell the eggs. They sell some of the things in which that they plant, and so forth. So you building that also, and then you building an entrepreneurship spirit.
Yeah.
within the youth.
And compassion. I think it builds a lot of compassion because they're taking care of another living being. So yeah, you're 6 years old, but you're learning how to care about how this chicken is doing, what it needs. Have you met its needs?
Right.
And so yeah, you're building that compassion and empathy that sometimes gets missed in those younger years too.
And when what I found out too, within the daydreamers, because it's not just for the youth, for that young part, but yet for the older kids too, that those in which that struggle with mental health, they really enjoy to holding a rabbit or a chicken, a 2-year-old in which our 3-year-old out there, chasing around a duck, and so that's a wonderful thing to see, and you a lot of times what you find out is they usah, they find a sense of peace when they're in that element, and so it's very important when it comes to mental health to find that solace or that peace, and that's
Yeah.
what I found, and it helps a lot of individuals that struggle with mental health too.
Yeah,
So
it does a lot for mental health and anxiety. So does the fishing program also. And I don't know if people are aware how much, like what the statistics are, but there's a lot of statistics that support what these outdoor programs can do for mental health and just getting kids outside and little sunshine and in a different environment. And it's something that as a society we don't practice as much. Maybe our generation did and our parents before us. But like our kids, our grandkids, those ages, society has shifted a little bit, and there's a lot of data to support what
right.
it can do for somebody.
One thing that I'm excited about and that I like about this outdoor initiative is the opportunity to be able to be a part of like fishing tournaments.
So I
And
understand,
so
and maybe you want to share with them one of the big things that Wisdom and Motion did for the outdoor program
yeah.
that the kids are super excited
Yeah,
for.
there's a boat in which that the kids can go and take out, learn how to drive. They'll be able to enter into fishing tournaments and get out there to the places. So you got the youth in which that are real driven and really like to fish that wants to get out there and really fish. And so that in itself leads to leadership and integrity
And hard work
responsibility and
because
hard work.
they
Yeah,
can't just say I want on the boat. They have to
right.
meet they have to meet some
They have
criteria
to,
and go through some safety education and there's several steps to get there. So hard work and work ethic is and the reward for it
yeah,
is also part of it.
it's involved. And so those when we look at that program as I explained the program, you can see the tentacles within the program and how there was careful thought in how the program was put together.
So in all of that kind of brings me to where I was headed. So what has been the most rewarding part of putting the program together?
Most rewarding part about putting the program together is to watch it evolve,
Yeah.
to watch it take off, to watch the support, the support of the state, the community, individuals in which that see of the value, if you
And
will,
the
and the
potential for our
potential
kids.
of or the ability to be able to help the youth, and so it's rewarding to see the fun that the youth have. Like we I take go back to one of our most popular programs which is the international cooking class, to watch the faces and the joy, when they sit down and eat and partake of some of the things in which that
And
they
one of the
cook.
things I noticed, so you had mentioned when you were talking about the last cooking thing that they did, and you mentioned it was the ratatouille, and ratatouille was not a favorite for any of us. I don't, and to get 6 and 7 and 8-year olds to say yes, I'm going to eat some eggplant and some tomatoes, And because they cooked it, they all tried it. Every one of them tried. Some of them finished it. And some of them were like, I don't like it, but I worked hard on this and I'm going to eat it anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was interesting to watch how they didn't just be like, oh, I don't like that.
yeah.
And
But just the camaraderie and the togetherness, breaking up in groups and saying this group work on this and this group does this and this group does this, and to watch them work together and to come up with these dishes and to make these dishes together, it's amazing, to watch individuals in which that's out there that never caught a fish, to watch the happiness that comes across the face of a kiddo that catches their first fish.
yeah, because I
You
believe the,
know,
the gal that learned to cast all in one day also caught a fish the same day.
right. And so it's wonderful to sit there and to see that and to experience that. I mean, there's reward on both sides, to understand or to know that, hey, when you see someone overcoming a obstacles, to say, hey, I had something to do with that. I mean, that's wonderful. It's not to toot your own horn or something of that nature, but yet everybody loves a feel good story, right?
Yeah.
Everybody
So
loves
now
to
we're going to
see.
turn it though. So what has been the hardest part? Because to think that putting together a nonprofit is easy would be ridiculous. So
One of
what's
the
been the most challenging?
the challenging part is to see the potential of a youth and to know that deep down within inside of them that they have all the tools in which that's inside of them to overcome an obstacle, but yet see them not overcome that obstacle. And that's a difficult thing because you could say you look at them and you say, "Hey, look, I see it in you. I know that you can succeed. I know that you can overcome." And you can see them working towards that goal, but then fall back.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult part, to me. That's even difficult, more difficult than trying to spread the program to get others to see, the
But that's
program for
another
what it
challenge in
is. Yeah.
itself is getting volunteers to come in. Okay, so all that being said, where do you see Wisdom in Motion going the next few years?
Well,
What's your vision for it, say in the next 3 to 5 years?
my vision, and it's not even three. This is my vision. This is the end goal when I'm looking at Wisdom Motion. I want Wisdom Motion to be a part of everywhere in the state of Kansas, in
That's
which
a big
where
goal.
yeah, in which where there's regional offices in which that does this program and give it to the community, and I believe that that in itself is my goal. You know, it's not only to grow it here,
To have it
but
available across
but
the state.
to
I love
have it
that.
available across the state, and 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 to know that in itself started from Hutchinson, Kansas, is a wonderful thing. Because there's there's talent, there's things in which that Hutch is doing that it seemed like don't get enough traction, don't get enough publicity, and Hutch is a wonderful place. I oftentimes I remember the Hutchinson theme, come share our space,
Yep, I remember that one.
and that is driven, and that's what I see in Wisdom Emotion. Come share our space,
Okay.
and come and see what these kids are doing and how wonderful these kids are, and those in which that you know can participate in the program. It doesn't matter whether you whether you come from Bob Johnson's or whether you come from a school or whatever. We here for the youth, and whatever it may take for them to succeed, we're gonna find a way, and that's what it is. We're gonna find a way, and so that's what wisdom motion is all about. It's about showing and helping out and guiding the youth for tomorrow.
I love that. Before we close up here, I would just say, for anybody that's listening and would want to find a way to support the program, how do they get involved? How do they donate? How do they volunteer?
We always need mentors, especially women. We always women and men, but women, and we always need mentors. And so you can always go to our website and you can sign up and be a mentor. You can go to the website. You can sign up the youth, your kids, to be a part of the program, and just try it.
And one last thing, I guess, that we didn't touch on, for anybody that's listening and thinks maybe I have a kid that might be interested in any part of this, I think that it's important to share that there is no cost to the family for any of these programs.
None of the programs. I mean, it's free of charge, and that's one of those deals. I remember being a youth and going to like community functions, kind of like and we went to because I was raised in the ghetto, if you would. So it was called the projects. And so around the corner, there was a community center. And I remember going to that community center and we did a lot of fun stuff at that community center. Free of charge. And
Good.
And what I'm saying is that, the wonderful thing is that, just come try it.
Yeah,
Free of charge.
absolutely.
Be a part of the community and that the wisdom motion community, and so my goal and all of our goals is to help our youth. That's pretty plain and simple. To help our youth,
Absolutely.
to showcase that our youth is important and important to our future.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate being able to sit down and pick your brain today. And I would just say, just keep posted for more events and more things coming from Wisdom in Motion.
All right. You guys have a blessed day, and stay tuned for our next podcast, which will be another part of our Wisdom in Motion family, in which that will be a part of that podcast.
Yes.
Which that from then on, we'll be doing it together.
That's right.
We'll be talking about the issues in which that are facing our youth today and how we overcome those issues.
And there's no shortage of those.
Yes. So stay tuned. All right. God bless. Y'all have a nice one.